Evening. It is Wednesday, December 6th, and welcome to the December board meeting of the Toronto District School Board. I'd like to first call this meeting, where are we? We are moving out of recess from our earlier segment, and I'd like to start with the acknowledgement of traditional lands and the national anthem. So if everybody could please stand if you're able. We acknowledge we are hosted on the lands of the Mississaugas, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples, Miigwech. And if you could remain standing, because we're going to do the national anthem next. Thank you. Welcome everybody, and you may now be seated. So to start, we're going to begin with approval of the agenda. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Trustee Williams and Trustee Arts. All those in favor? Show of hands. Any opposed? Okay, and that has carried. At this time, we will turn our attention to memorials. That's next on the agenda. So we wish to express our sympathy to the families of all those affected, and I believe we normally rise for this. So if we could all rise. Okay, and thank you, everybody. So at this time, I'd like to present my chair remarks. So we are now in December. It is, of course, our last regular meeting of the 2023 year, but really just partway into the 2023-2024 school year. To begin tonight's meeting, as I have in the past, I'd like to speak about our advocacy work since our last regular meeting. At the November board meeting, trustees gave direction on multiple pieces of correspondence. First, I wrote to Minister Lecce and our Federal Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, Mark Miller, to reaffirm our commitment to providing a safe and welcoming educational environment for all students, regardless of immigration status. In the letter, I requested additional funding and information on settlement plans for refugees, in order to ensure we are best prepared to provide for the necessary supports to students and families. Newcomer students, including refugees and those without immigration status, often require additional support to address their unique needs, such as language proficiency, special education, social work, mental health, and translation interpreters. As a result, the additional strain on resources and funding can place significant pressure on our board's ability to meet these needs effectively within our current programming and service levels. So this is a very important advocacy piece for us. Second, on behalf of the board, I submitted our feedback for consideration on accelerated apprenticeship pathways to the Ministry of Education through the province's regulatory registry. As a board, we support the Ontario Public School Boards Association stance that any accelerated apprenticeship pathways strategy must not diminish the value of school-based education. We remain committed to exploring pathways that offer diverse opportunities for students, and we commend the province for improving access to these opportunities. But it is critical that we continue to uphold the integrity and comprehensive nature of their educational experience. We reject models that remove students from public school boards before completing high school diplomas. We support apprenticeship pathways allowing students under 18 to stay in public school programming, to complete diplomas concurrently, and to receive appropriate resourcing. We are dedicated to engaging constructively in this dialogue with the province. In addition to submitting our feedback through the portal, it was also sent directly to the Minister of Education. We've also shared this letter with the Ministry of Labour, Immigration, Training, Skills and Development, David Piccini. We've shared it with OBSPA, and as well with the Ontario Student Trustees Association, so that they are all aware of our feedback and our advocacy. Third, I wrote to the Provincial Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism in support of the Ontario Human Rights Commission's call for a province-wide anti-hate strategy. I urged the province to review mechanisms for addressing hate and requested the OHRC consult with experts, school boards, and communities as part of this work. Because this is so important, I have requested a reply by December 31st, 2023 to my letter. Finally, I wrote a letter of support and endorsement for the establishment of a Somali Centre for Culture and Recreation, an initiative that aims to serve as a significant resource for the development and enrichment of Somali communities in the City of Toronto. As always, I encourage all trustees and members of our communities to review and read these letters, which are posted towards the bottom of the front of our webpage if you scroll down in a section entitled Advocacy. At this time, I have not heard back on any of these pieces, but I will keep you apprised of any changes or any responses and any changes in that regard and any updates as we receive them in the coming weeks. In addition to those letters, I do have one additional update. As you recall, in November, based on decisions made by the board, I wrote to the Minister of Education about the significant delays in getting approval to proceed on previously agreed to construction of childcare centres in several of our schools in underserved areas of the city, such as Scarborough and the northwest part of the city. I wrote about the subsequent inflationary costs directly related to delays and the significant gap in funding to build these sites, even with the additional funding offered by the ministry and the use of our own proceeds of disposition added in. Since our last meeting, we did get a reply from the ministry with the new deputy minister writing to inform us that no further funding would be provided, and should we decide not to go forward, the ministry would move forward in other ways to open new spots, suggesting off-site childcares and the licensing of in-home daycares. Subsequent to receiving that letter, we have had some media coverage on this crucial issue, and I met with Minister Lecce last week to discuss the issue. We covered a wide range of issues related to this one, and we focused extensively on the benefits and the practicalities for this government and the benefits and practicalities for working families and for their children of having a seamless day model with fewer transitions, easier access to early intervention, and the permanence of these type of daycare spaces. Our discussion was, in my opinion, fruitful, and I am hopeful that the Minister of Education will not abandon his commitment to a seamless day model and will soon come back to us with a way to move forward in partnership. Again, I will keep you apprised of any new developments on this front. As we prepare to embark on a well-deserved winter break, I want to extend my warmest wishes to all of those listening this evening, as well as to my fellow board members, our dedicated team around the horseshoe in this room, our senior team, and all TDSB staff and TDSB students, families, and communities. This time of year offers us opportunities to come together, to celebrate our achievements and embrace the spirit of the holidays. May this winter break bring each of you moments of peace, joy, and rest. It is a time to recharge, to spend quality time with loved ones, to reflect on the positive impact we have collectively made in the lives of our students and the broader community, and celebrate our students' successes. As we look forward to the new year, let us renew our shared commitment to public education, to student achievement, and to the well-being of our students. Together as a community, we can ensure our students flourish, laying the foundation for a brighter future and a healthier future. To trustees and TDSB staff, thank you all for your continued support, your hard work, and your passion for public education. Here's to a restful winter break for all TDSB students, staff, and families. This concludes my chair's announcements tonight, and we will now move on with this evening's agenda. So at this point, we are on item number 10. This is the report from student trustees, and it will be presented by student trustees Angelica Bell, Ikai Zhu, and Indigenous student trustee Ozawa Secord.
Right.
Over to you, everyone.
Right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for lending us a moment of your time. We have a wonderful report prepared for you, stemming from Student Voice, and I'll pass it on to Ikai to start us off this evening.
Thank you, Student Trustee Bell. Our first few agenda items are on the TDSB Student Senate. Our first item is on the Student Senate Leadership Retreat. So Student Trustee Bell and the Student Senate attended a leadership retreat earlier in November at Mono Cliffs Outdoor Education Center. They engaged in leadership building activities and strategic planning. They also reviewed and made recommendations surrounding policies on AI. Our second agenda item is on the December Joint Learning Center meeting. So on December 4th, the Student Senate held their very first Learning Center meeting jointly on Zoom with over 30 student attendees. The students discussed topics relating to Heritage Month celebrations and combating hate and racism. In addition, students also drew attention to other issues within their schools, like smoking and vaping, vandalism, and other topics. On the other hand, students were showing satisfaction with extracurriculars, breakfast and snack programs, and safe spaces that their schools and the TDSB offers. Now I'll pass it back to Student Trustee Bell.
Thank you, Student Trustee Ikai Sal. Now, our second agenda item in terms of initiatives. So in terms of completed school visits, thanks to the help of local trustee Luca Rotman and Superintendent of Education Marwa Hamid, I was able to visit 2 schools in Ward 5, including CH Best Middle School and Northview Secondary School. These schools were truly an immersive environment and welcomed me with open arms. I was able to have conversations with students surrounding 4 different pillars, including student engagement surrounding the pillars of equity, inclusion, and diversity, opportunities outside of the classroom tying into extracurricular experiences, student wellness and mental health, and also student-centered curriculum. I was able to engage with students in multiple different sessions. So for CH Best in particular, I was able to engage with sessions for 4 to 6, along with students with grades 7 through 8. And we were able to have amazing conversation, walk around the room, and just had a joyful time with students within that school visit. In terms of upcoming initiatives for the month of December, and new visits are upcoming school visits. So thanks to the work of local trustee, the Durantes, and local superintendents, I plan to engage with 5 upcoming school visits for the center of Ward 4 and Ward 5 for the month of December. Each school will engage in leadership presentations and open discussions surrounding the same selective pillars and really be able to engage with student concerns and their voices to be heard and influence the work that myself and my co-hosts do here at board. Additionally, Student Trustee Secord is considering multiple various ways to establish links and better engage Indigenous students and Indigenous student-led programs, schools through visits as well. Now I'll pass it on to my Student Trustee Secord.
Miaoe. Thank you, Angelica. Our next items are media and events. Our first item is UIAC, our student panel for Trustee Secord. We have confirmed that one of our student speakers for the Urban Indigenous Education Center's student panel on Indigenous and Indigenous youth perspectives. And specifically, we had a follow-up for this event because of a moderation that I did for OKKO for the magazine launch, located within the UIC's schools and artists among the GTA. Also, this magazine is run by the multiple Indigenous students in the GTA, as well as Elder Duke Redbird, who is a TDSB member and valued employee. Our next item is the Toronto Indigenous Youth Council Conference, which will, alongside the TIYC, Trustee Secord is finalizing plans to host the first student-led conference in Indigenous student education and decolonization in Toronto.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Trustee Secord, and that concludes our student trustee report for this evening. Back to you, Chair Rachel Trinislin.
Thank you so much for that terrific report. Up next, we have item number 11, which is the Director's Leadership Report. Over to you, Director Colleen Russell-Rollins.
Thank you very much. Through you, Chair. Good evening, students, staff, community members, and Board of Trustees. Each December, I find it harder to believe that nearly 365 days have passed. To add to other cliches that no doubt I will throw around this evening, 2023 has certainly flown by. And we know it's the end of the year because students are telling us they don't know where their lunch bags are. Teachers are subconsciously humming songs for the upcoming winter concerts in their sleep. And administrators are doing everything possible to get their inboxes down to zero. This evening, my leadership report will provide an update on some exciting TDSB STEM initiatives, a few recent recognitions and accomplishments, and look ahead to 2024. I will begin with a few new STEM initiatives at the Toronto District School Board. The TDSB Science and Technology Resource Centre, in partnership with the Outdoor Education Department, introduced new outdoor learning kits. These kits are designed with a variety of materials and tools for educators to engage in learning in the outdoors with students. The materials are user-friendly and can easily be used to extend the learning of the curriculum expectations, or to start an inquiry, or to build on learning that is already occurring in the classroom. These kits include magnifiers, thermometers, trowels, specimen jars, and more. Many of you with young people in your lives will know what will end up in those specimen jars. These kits add to the primary outdoor inquiry already in circulation for many of our students in grades K to 3. Students use these inquiry skills to explore the environment both inside and outside of the classroom. And I'd like to thank the Science and Technology Center, which provides curriculum-linked resources that cater to STEM and robotics. As well, TDSB educators and science technicians attended a day of learning presented by Honor the Work, a non-profit hub that connects Canadians to meaningful careers in the skilled trades. This was hosted at George Brown, and participants had the opportunity to tour welding, plumbing, and lumber learning labs, and learn about career opportunities in the skilled trades. There was also a panel discussion about girls, women, and BIPOC communities in the skilled trades. As well, there was time to explore learning activities and resources, which highlighted practical and technical problem-solving skills within the trades. And on November 18th and 19th, Future Eng, ENG, at Toronto Metropolitan University welcomed highly motivated female-identifying students in grades 9 to 12 to discover engineering at the university level. During this weekend, students learned about the basics of engineering and how it shapes the world around us. This event allowed students to better understand life as an engineer, focusing on the profession's global and societal impacts. Students also had the opportunity to meet industry professionals, engineering mentors, and students across the Greater Toronto Area to build a network of like-minded women in STEM. As I reflect on this final initiative about STEM, I think of the flags that are lowered across the TDSB today in commemoration of the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. Some in the boardroom this evening may remember that on December 6, 1989, 14 young women were tragically killed at L'École Polytechnique in Montreal because of their gender. Each of these young women had rich lives, accomplishments, and dreams of becoming an engineer, much like the young TDSB students who recently visited TMU. It's a reality for so many women, young and mature, that gender discrimination, aggression, and violence in all its forms are still present in our lives. Our goal must be to ensure that the next generation of women are allowed to lead safer lives and are respected in whatever pathway they choose. Now on to some good news. First, Samia Jimenez, a grade 7 and 8 and special education teacher from Dr. Rita Cox Kena-Minnegoc Public School, recently received a 2023 Certificate of Achievement recipient for Teaching Excellence in STEM as part of the Prime Minister's Awards for Teaching Excellence. Samia specializes in social justice education and is an advocate for systemic change within education. She has facilitated and created professional development around anti-racism and anti-discrimination for educators. In addition to her work in the classroom and the professional learning she leads, Samia has published a new co-authored children's book called What Does Hate Look Like? A compilation of student stories and experiences, such as body shaming and anti-Black racism, and the book encourages all students to be active against the hate that they see. What a timely story for all of our students. Congratulations, Samia, on this outstanding recognition of your efforts inside and outside of the classroom, and mostly for the difference that you make in creating belonging and high achievement for all of your students at the school. I'm also pleased to recognize the enduring contributions of Chef Keith Hoare. Each month for the past 5 years, Thistletown CI teacher and chef and his culinary arts students have prepared dozens of dinners for local shelters. This year, their efforts to help those struggling with food insecurity became even more ambitious. A group of professional chefs volunteered their time to assist with cooking and prepared a wide variety of meals with the support of Chef Keith and his culinary arts students and Kiwanis Key Club student members from TCI and other TDSB schools. Together, they prepared 5,000 hot meals, including barbecued pork chops, sirloin, halal beef, ribs, roast beef, all paired with sides, including pasta, mashed potatoes, and other vegetables. This month, Chef Hoare is hosting his next big shelter dinner cook-off when students and volunteers are expected to prepare a holiday feast for 400 for lunch at the school and then send out an additional 400 meals to various locations that same evening. I'm incredibly grateful for the Thistletown CI school community, for their generosity, their care, and their service. It's the time of year when, as educators and those of us who work within public education, think about the year ahead. It's a time when we make resolutions and predictions about the year to come. My resolutions are, of course, to eat less chocolate, to walk more, and to volunteer more. But in terms of my predictions as director, over the course of the next year, you will see innovations in AI, which will transform both our learning as well as our service and business side of the organization. I am looking forward to these positive changes that are already happening in small ways that will make a difference for our students and for our staff. We're also going to continue to empower our students with the skills and compassion to have conversations when we agree. When we disagree. In public education, our goal every year is to ensure students are capable and competent thinkers and that their understanding of the world will grow with experience and from the opportunity to learn more from one another, their family members, and educators. There are times like this moment in the world where some may say hope is limited, but I ask you to remember the students who make up the TDSB and are in our lives in many different ways. These young people show that we can have compassion for those who we do not yet know, and that we can grapple with complex ideas, with empathy and intellect. It is because of the students that I'm optimistic about 2024 and beyond. For your efforts this year, I want to thank the Board of Trustees for your leadership in public education, to our educators, business staff, and our senior team. Thank you for going above and beyond every time, for supporting student achievement and well-being, for continuing to make connections to families and community partners, for helping to empower our students. But last and never least, thank you to all of the students in the Toronto District School Board for providing hope and motivating us to continue to do better each and every day. I wish each of you a joyful holiday season, a restful winter break, and the best for a healthy and happy 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. So many wonderful achievements in that speech and so much to look forward to in addition. At this time, we will move on to item number 12. This is declarations of possible conflict of interest. Are there any trustees in the meeting this evening who wish to declare a conflict of interest? Okay, I'm not hearing or seeing any, so that is concluded, and we will move on to matters to be decided without discussion. So on the consent agenda this evening, we have item number 15 item number 14, item number 15.11, 15.12, 15.13, 15.14, 15.15, and 15.16. Also on consent agenda 15.21 and 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And item number 16, well, not really, do we include 16? No, okay. Off consent this evening, we have item number 15.2.3. That's the actual enrollment as of September 2023. And then all of item number 15.3, this is the Audit Committee Report number 5 from December 4th, 2023. And with that, we will, I need a mover and a seconder for the consent agenda. Thank you, Trustee Vice Chair Shan and Trustee Williams. All those in favor of the matters to be decided without discussion, we'll do show of hands for this. Any opposed? Okay, I'm not hearing any online or hearing any in the boardroom, so that has carried. So we will move on now to 15.2.3. This is the actual enrollment as of September 2023. Can I have a mover and a second? No, I don't need a mover and a second. Okay. All right, we're going to move right into discussion. Can I just pass this over to staff to introduce this item? Thank you.
Through the chair. Before I turn it over to System Officer Gowdy, I just want to commend him and his team for this report. First of all, COVID made predicting enrollment extremely challenging. And we were in a position where we, prior to COVID, we're less than 1% in our enrollment predictions. And during COVID, that got a little bit more challenging. I'm happy to report that, again, we are less than 1% difference than where our predictions compared to actuals. And it's an extreme accomplishment when you're talking about almost 250,000 students. So I just wanted to add that perspective before I turn it over to System Officer Gowdy to present the report.
Thank you, Associate Director. Good evening, trustees, staff, and members of the public through the chair. The report before you tonight is the report we present to you each school year at this time. It's on our actual enrollment for the current school year. In this report, we compare the actual enrollment for September 2023 to the projected enrollment for September 2023 that we prepared last school year. In this report, we also compare the actual enrollment for September 2023 to the actual enrollment of last school year, September 2022. To summarize the major points of this report, for both the elementary and secondary panels, we came in above projection, and we also grew in enrollment from last school year. At the system level, we came in above projection by 1,855 students, so that's coming in above projection by 0.79%. As a system, we grew in enrollment from last school year by 2,427 students. This is an increase of 1.03%. The report contains tables, graphs, and maps, and comments on the enrollment trends. This concludes our presentation. We'd be pleased to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you very much, System Manager Gowdy, and also Associate Director Zucker for that. At this point, we have one trustee on the list with a question. Trustee Lee, please go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. First of all, I just want to say congratulations, staff, and great job for this fantastic report. It is the first time since I became a trustee that we have grew in enrollment year over year. And I think that is a representation of the confidence that our community have in our school board, and also our ability to attract new students as they land in Canada. I just think, with this increasing enrollment trend, hopefully that continues, and it makes our budget discussions next year a little bit easier going forward. Just have a quick question on the implications of the additional enrollment. I'm going to do napkin math, but I won't say it here because it is on a napkin. So my question to staff, my first question to staff is, what is the financial implications of this change in enrollment, and how are we dealing with that impact?
So thank you through the chair. That's a very good question. And there are a couple of things that we do need to consider. The first being, this is September 30th enrollment. We wouldn't expect there to be a significant difference between September 30th and October 31st, but the grants are actually based on October 31st, so we do need that information to have an exact number. We use each year, once we have the October enrollments, we are expected to submit a revised budget to the ministry, because that grounds us. We have half of the enrollment actual calculation, so we are able to look and for changes in enrollment, able to update that enrollment and then update our grants accordingly. At the same time, there will be additional expenses related to that additional enrollment, whether it be resources, staffing, that sort of thing. So it gives us an opportunity to look at all of those implications. In addition, we have just finished, and you will see later on in the agenda, the financial statements from the previous year. So there were things that actual results that came back through those financial statements that we would want to adjust for in the revised estimates. All that being said, the revised estimates are due this month. So staff is now turned from working on the financial statements to finalizing the revised budget. It will be presented in January at the next FVEC meeting, which I believe is the 18th. So you will see exactly the implications. So, but on a high level, and we'll see if our napkin math is the same as yours, we're looking at about an additional $18 million in funding. $18 million is a lot of money. It's 0.5%, less than 0.5%. So if you made $100,000, that would be $500. So just for relativity's sake, again, because when we say we have an additional $18 million, it's a lot of money. But from an overall perspective, there are, again, expenses that will go against it, but we will see if there are any positive implications. And it's certainly much better when we have realistically conservative estimates to be in a position where we're in a little bit better position than we were, than to have the other way around where it's either a really significant difference or it's actually less. So again, kudos to Andrew and his team. The only other thing that I wanted to say is that we do not have a contingency built into our budget. Many boards do. And so that additional $500 or $18 million will help us there too with any unforeseen expenses throughout the school year.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. What I heard from the Associate Director is that team, we have no more money to spend, even like this. Second question, with our increasing enrollment, I know just reading from the report that a big portion of that came from newcomers. What does this do to our current ESL learning structure? And do we have enough support?
Thank you, and through the chair. So that is something that the different schools and the departments that are dealing with the supports to provide to these students are dealing with. And so there is additional funding that does come with these students if they are at the board again before October 31st, which obviously they would be if it's September 30th. So we would see an increase in revenue as part of that 18 million that would support those students. And we would know if there were additional supports required, and we would be able to add them with that additional funding.
Thank you, Associate Director. And last question, through you, Madam Chair. And maybe I missed it in the report, but do we have a sense of the breakdown between international students and students that are from Canada, and also how does that compare to our forecast?
Thank you, and through the chair, we do have a slight increase year over year in the number of international students. That being said, some of the changes that we have gotten clarification on as to when students pay fees versus when they don't pay fees has reduced that number. So we're still receiving funding for those students. It's through the ministry versus fee paying. But we are seeing an increase. We are able, again, to work with recruiters and to go, we know that our senior manager did just recently have a recruitment trip and has seen positive results from that for interest in next year as well. So as we get further away from COVID, and as we start to be able to do more of those, the specified recruiting, we are seeing those numbers increase. But again, when we have discussions about refugees and whether they should be fee paying or non-fee paying, and that does have an impact on the number or the international student revenue. And we have seen an increase in the number of refunds that we've provided this year, partly as a result of that and partly as a visa is not yet coming as quickly as we would hope.
Thank you. Sorry, just one last follow-up. I promise. Do we have a sense of the volumes of the fee-paying international students? It's okay if you don't, but just on a high level, how does that compare year over year?
Through the chair, sorry, you're looking for actual numbers of fee pay?
To the hundreds or thousands.
I can probably find that information. I don't have it off of the top of my head, but it's certainly something that when we bring the revised estimates back, we will be able to include as part of the other revenue source to say whether or not we're on target and compare it to the prior year.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm just looking around the room and online to see if we have any further questions on item number 15.2. Not seeing any, so I think we will open the vote on this item. Can I have a mover and a seconder before we do? Did I see your hand go up? Trustee McLean and Trustee Lee? Thank you. And we will now open the vote.
Sriskandaraj in favor.
Trustee Patel in favor. Trustee Pay in favor.
Cherneslin in favor. Trustee Hastings, how do you vote? In favor. And Trustee Williams? Thank you, Trustee Williams. He's in favor. And that has carried. Our next item is number 15.3. This is the Audit Committee Report number 5, December 4th, 2023. I'd like to turn it over to staff to introduce this report, please. Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair, I will just briefly go through the reports that were done at committee and then see if there are any questions related to all of the reports, if that is okay. The first the committee did approve the extension of the term for our external member, Joy Chow, for 3 more years. So she will continue to be a member until 2027. Then the financial statements were presented by staff and our external auditors. The in-year deficit was $8 million more than budgeted. It was $48.2 million. However, this is a significant improvement from the prior year where we were over 80 million. And so, especially given inflationary increases and replacement cost increases over budget, I think it's a testament to the hard work that trustees have done through the budget process in order to be able to ensure that we are getting closer to a balanced budget. In addition, and then those statements were approved by the committee. The board's internal audit manager presented their status update and their report on the board's contract management process. And then the regional internal audit manager presented their status update and the report on succession planning for critical positions. So we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, Trustee Lee, please go ahead.
Sorry, through you, Madam Chair, I just want to clarify, just because normally audit reports goes on the consent agenda and that gets received, is there a particular item on here that we should be paying attention to that's resulting in this report coming here to this meeting?
So I'm happy to take this one. It's because the meeting was on Monday. So there wasn't time to put it on, because it's such a short time frame, we have it open for discussion. That's our practice.
You. Sorry, I thought I was missing something.
Okay, well, that was an easy one. Okay, so seeing no further questions online or in the room, I would need, though, a mover and a seconder for 15.3. Thank you, Trustee Arts and Vice Chair Shen. All those in favor, please, we are, I believe, doing this over show of hands. Okay, we're going to do show of hands tonight. Or if you're online, feel free to say aye. Oh, it came up. It also came up, so you can do it over eScribe, whatever's your pleasure. In favor. In favor. Who do we need?
Sriskandaraj in favor.
Thank you. And Trustee Pay, how do you vote? Oh, thank you.
Trustee Patel in favor.
Thank you, Trustee Patel. Your vote, I think it was registered already, but good to know. I think we have everyone. We're just waiting for the vote to close. And that has carried. So before we adjourn, I just want to draw your attention to item number 16.1. There is a written notice of motion from myself and Trustee Earhart. This is called Moving from Procedure to Policy on Cell Phone Mobile Device Use in Schools to Ensure Student Achievement and Well-Being. This will go to GPC as a motion for consideration on January 17th. And with that, I need a mover and a seconder for adjournment. Thank you, Trustee Dawson and Trustee Alexandra Lolka. All those in favor, we're going to do this one by show of hands, or say aye. Any opposed? Nice timing. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. I'd like the time noted, 7:50 p.m.